One can contemplate the Emperor and his powers comfortably if one remembers that all things are finite. In the far-flung future of Frank Herbert's Dune, there are several key political, commercial, and religious organizations vying for power and the advancement and fulfillment of their own agendas driven by their own unique ideologies. One of these is the bizarre isolationist society known as the Bene Tleilax, who play a significant role following the events of Frank Herbert's Dune. In this video, I'd like to talk about the conspiracy conceived by the scientific amoralists of the Bene Tleilax in their bid to wrestle power from the hands of the Emperor. Spoiler warning, as I will be discussing plot details from Dune and Dune Messiah. After 10,000 years of the imperial reign of House Carino, the Duke of House Atreides, Paul Muad'Dib, sits on the Golden Lion throne, ruling from the seat of ultimate power, Arrakis. 12 years prior, Paul Muad'Dib Atreides led the Fremen warriors of Dune in a campaign stripping the Imperial House Carino, the Sisterhood of the Bene Gesserit, and the Spacing Guild of the power and control they once held. In capturing the desert world, Paul gained a monopoly over the most valuable coin in the universe, the spice melange. Without this precious substance, the Sisterhood's Reverend Mothers could not perform their feats of observation and human control. The Guild's steersmen could not safely navigate across space. By seizing control of the spice and threatening its continued production, the various powers of the universe were forced to accept Paul's claim to the throne. The Bene Gesserit and the Spacing Guild, institutions that had once wielded incredible religious, commercial, and political influence for thousands of years, now saw their plans, their fate, placed in the hands of someone else. And not just any someone, the Kwisatz Haderach, a super being possessing the powers of a Bene Gesserit Reverend Mother, with access to both male and female ancestral memories, prescient foresight that far exceeded that of a Spacing Guild navigator, and the supreme analytical and calculating abilities of a Mentat, the Kwisatz Haderach, the one who could be many places at once. To overthrow such a formidable being would certainly require unconventional methods, presenting unique opportunities for enterprising organizations to advance their own position in the universe. The religious and xenophobic society of the Bene Tleilax, with their focus on genetic manipulation and experimentation, all in the pursuit of spiritual enlightenment, were presented with such an opportunity. The Bene Tleilax played a major role as collaborators alongside the Bene Gesserit Sisterhood and the Spacing Guild in the plot to undermine the Atreides Empire and to eliminate its control over them. Representatives from these institutions had come together with the common goal to dethrone Paul Muad'Dib. This council of conspirators included the Reverend Mother Gaius Helen Mohiam, Guild Navigator Edric, and the Emperor's wife, in title only, Irulan. This alliance was not entirely unified in what they hoped to achieve, as each had their own agenda serving as their own sole priority. The face dancer Scytale, the representative for the Bene Tleilax, was careful to keep their ultimate agenda secret from the other conspirators. What each party initially agreed upon was the use of a psychic poison to manipulate their enemy, Emperor Paul Atreides. Central to their plot was the deployment of the Tleilaxu's Ghola of fallen Atreides swordmaster Duncan Idaho. These artificially created humans called Gholas are very similar to clones, with some key differences. For one, a Ghola is replicated from the cells of a dead individual, and though Gholas were widely used to provide comfort after suffering the loss of a loved one, it was merely superficial, as Gholas did not possess the memories from their original life. The former Emperor Sardaukar saw the value in the flesh of one of the finest swordsmen in history, an advisor to the Atreides, and a military genius who had defeated so many of their battalion. They oversaw the collection of the swordmaster's corpse, where it was then transported to the Tleilaxu by a Spacing Guild highliner. This Ghola, originating from the Tleilaxu's exlodal tanks, resembled Duncan Idaho in every way apart from his artificial metallic eyes. and as with all Golas, he did not possess the lived memories of his former fallen incarnation. This Gola was given the name Hate, who was then conditioned as a Mentat and Zen Sunni philosopher. A Gola of Duncan, Idaho, the Emperor's dear friend and mentor who died protecting him and his mother, this ghost from the past would be presented as a gift to the Emperor, a gift he could not resist. The reflection of the old Atreides' morality was known by all conspirators to act as a psychic poison, a means to manipulate Paul psychologically, causing the Emperor to question himself and the dynasty he had created. While the exact details of the plot would be hidden from Paul due to the guild navigator Edric's involvement, whose own prescience would act as a shield from Paul's visions, it was still curious that virtually no attempt was made to hide the Gola's true purpose. Even the Tleilaxu name, Hate, inspires caution. For the Tleilaxu's agenda, it did not matter if Paul was aware that hate was intended to destroy him. The Mentat philosopher Gola, per its conditioning, would maintain total honesty if Paul ever asked him to define his purpose. However, the Tleilaxu Scytale secretly had a multi-purpose plan for Hate, who, unlike other Golas, could feel hints and reminders of his past life as Duncan, Idaho. Hate was not just an instrument to initiate the Atreides' downfall, but also the Tleilaxu had ultimately hoped to use him to discover the key to awakening a Gola's original memories. The Tleilaxu are known to hold an odd system of honor, that their victims must always have a means of escape if they can but find it. The Tleilaxu intended to use their ability to bring Paul's loved ones back to life as a bargaining tool, offering him an exact duplicate, a Gola with all of its original genetic memory intact. If they played their cards right, they would end up with a Kwisatz Haderach under their control, as well as the means to achieve immortality. Another Tleilaxu agent key to the unfolding conspiracy against Paul Atreides was the dwarf Bijaz, a Tleilaxu master grown in the same axolotl tank as Duncan's Gola Hate. Bijaz had the knowledge and ability to control Hate. As one who also possessed prescience, his part in the conspiracy was also hidden from Paul's foresight. Bijaz instilled within Hate the command to assassinate Paul if certain parameters were met. After a difficult pregnancy, Paul's love, Chani, had died after giving birth to twins. Paul then uttered the words, "She is gone," triggering Hate's programming. In that instant, a mortal struggle within Hate was initiated. Duncan, Idaho's flesh, which carried his deep and undying love and loyalty for the Atreides, came into direct conflict with his murderous conditioning. The sensory overload stemming from this internal war resulted in Hate's recovery of the memories of his past, shedding the bonds of his Tleilaxu masters and becoming Duncan, Idaho once again. It was a moment of triumph for Duncan. However, his return meant the Tleilaxu lever was now in place. Scytale made the offer to Paul, a Gola no longer. Paul's loved one, Duncan, Idaho, had been brought back to him. The same could be done for Chani. Paul had seen for himself how much a Gola was like the original. He could have Chani back, in return for all of his Chom holdings, effectively abdicating the throne. This was certainly no altruistic proposition, as Scytale threatened the lives of his newborn children if Paul did not accept. Not allowing himself to be tempted by this offer, and resolute in his determination not to become a Tleilaxu tool, Paul quickly killed Scytale and ordered the execution of Bijaz shortly thereafter, bringing an end to their role in the Tleilaxu conspiracy. It was risky to try to bring Duncan, Idaho's memories to the surface through the act of attempting to kill Paul. If he had not been able to recover his original identity and overcome his programming, then the Tleilaxu would have attempted to bargain with Aaliyah for the return of her brother Paul as a Gola. Though the Tleilaxu's bid for power didn't turn out as intended, this was far from a failure for them. Not only could they revive the flesh of a dead individual, but they had learned the particular pressures they would need to exert to unlock Agola's genetic memory. They had found the trigger for Agola to recover their past life, or even lives, effectively achieving immortality. These creations would continue to play a significant role in the outworking of the rest of the Dune saga. But I'm curious to know what you think of the Tleilaxu plan and the advancements made in Agola technology. Are there any moments from this conspiracy that stand out the most to you? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe for more Dune and other sci-fi and fantasy news and lore. Thank you all so much for your support, and as always, have a very nerdy day.